That's not a jab. This is a jab.
Boxing.
Shout out to anybody that gets the Crocodile Dundee knife reference on the jab there. Devin Haney becomes the undisputed lightweight champion, defeating George Ferocious Kambosos in Australia last night. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's good. I hope you got a chance to watch the fight. You know, not the most enthralling fight, but you know, a high skill performance from Devin Haney, absolute masterclass, put on a clinic. Chess, not checkers. You know, that was a masterful performance, and Devin Haney had a breakout performance, like I said he was going to do, and he was dominant with that jab, dominant with his footwork, the IQ, the lead up, his confidence. Massive hats off to Devin Haney for, you know, keeping his composure the entire time leading up to this, taking the fight, dealing with all the antics, and he like really proved how talented this kid is, not just in the ring but pre-fight, and then obviously in the ring he was great. I expected a lot more from Kambosos, but you know, he was having such a hard time timing Haney and closing the distance and getting past that jab. You know, there's a lot of stuff to deal with right there. Let's talk about the fight. Well, look, it didn't take long for Haney to settle in. He looked ultra relaxed from round one. They both did. It was a very cautious sort of, you know, tentative opening round in terms of energy. I did say pre-fight it would be similar to the Mickey Bay fight, and I guess to a degree it had its similarities, but I thought it would be a more intense version. But it was actually like a less to sort of, it had its moments. But Kambosos, I think the difference for me obviously was the jab, and you know, Haney's IQ, he looked pretty big in there as well, like he's grown into a man, he's getting his man body. But I think the difference for me was the footwork, or foot speed specifically. Kambosos' footwork is a little clumsy at times, and you know, he was constantly on the ball of both feet sometimes, and you know, he would rock almost like a boat, which is, you know, useful sometimes, but when you got to close the distance with speed and footwork, you know, he was having a hard time because Haney's footwork was so superior, and Haney could see any punches. Kambosos wasn't being very creative. I always talk about creativity in boxing, and you need it when you're fighting somebody like Haney, because you know, they can see all the stuff that you're doing. So you got to get creative. You got to do things that they might not be used to doing, different combinations, different rhythms, you know, stepping in, stepping out. Kambosos wasn't able to really work on the inside because Haney was shutting him down and doing his little moves and tricks, and like he was masterful in there. You know, that was a great performance from Devin Haney. Big up Devin Haney, and you know, he deserves it, man, because he was very confident going into this. Kambosos, I said pre-fight, there's something wrong with him, man. When you're the loudest one in the room like that, and you're saying, you know, all these things at the press conference. I know that's part of it. I get that, but it just looked like his energy and his facial expressions looked like he was just trying too hard. And that whole thing about missing weight and the art of deception.
Hey, art of war, baby. Deception. Let them believe that this was done. Everything is for a cause. Everything is for a process. Trust me, tomorrow, just be here.
You might want to tell your opponent that after the fight, because that didn't make any sense at all. So, and I saw the look in his face there. He looked at the cameras. He was trying to, you know, like, you know, show off to the crowd a bit. Something was up. I could tell straight away. I didn't think it'd be as wide as that, but I did predict a very clear win for Devin Haney. Breakout performance with the jab being the key punch. And fighting a disciplined fight is exactly what happened. And he fought a great fight. And Kambosos, you know, look, he didn't really let it hang out. That Sparta, energy wasn't quite there. Pretty sure Leonidas probably would disown him after that if he was back in the back in the Greek days when Sparta were ruling the world. But look, when you're dealing with somebody that can see everything, okay, like Kambosos with Kalian was trying to throw lead left hooks. Not going to work against somebody so clever, so slick, so fast. The IQ, the sharpness in the mind is working so much quicker. You know, before that hook, the lead left hook comes here, step back, move down. He was ducking the punches beautifully. And he was shutting the distance. You know, one thing Haney's superb at doing is also after the punches. You know, he's like, he'll step in with a jab or whatever, 1-2, and he's always thinking, he's got it tattooed in his head, what I'm going to do after the punch. I'm going to duck down, I'm going to close the distance. And that's tattooed in his head from the Mayweather camp, training in there, and his dad, they've all put this into him. Boom, it's there. And you know, even when he got caught against Linares, I said this pre-fight, he was still moving his head after. He just get caught with a punch. But wow, great stuff. Lightweight division's on fire, boxing's on fire. I keep saying it is flying right now. We've got another undisputed champion. We've got talks about the undisputed welterweight fight getting made between Crawford and Spence. Whew, I mean, on we go. Joel Judah becomes the first trainer to have 2 undisputed champions, first ever. Now look, you can obviously say, well, he wasn't really training Haney for the camp. I get that, but like he still was part of building Haney up, and he still was qualified and came in and did what he had to do. And you got to take your hat off, because he had his son obviously undisputed. I think it was against Spinks when he won that in New Orleans. But whew, great fights in the lightweight division, you know, like there's some really amazing young fighters coming through. They're going to be around for a long time. Boxing is in a good place, okay? In terms of the rematch, look, there's just no way that is going to be any different, I don't think, personally. Obviously, it's boxing, anything can happen, but like, I can't see Kambosos doing anything different. I mean, look, he has to make adjustments. He didn't really make any adjustments in the fight. He didn't change the intensity. He didn't really get creative, like I mentioned, but like his footwork is what really lets him down. It was really quite poor at times. It's not the worst in the world, but he has a tendency to just constantly rock on the balls of his feet. And you know, sometimes being on both balls of the feet. I was trying to capture some video footage on it, but it wasn't that easy because the ropes were in the way. But that's his biggest issue. Until you can't just fix that. That takes, you know, it's God-given, but like you can improve it, but not to the extent where you're dealing with Haney's footwork, which is superior. Haney just is a superior fighter in every aspect. So he didn't even really get out of gear 2, to be honest, if you think about it. Maybe not even gear 1. A couple of times maybe he, you know, got into gear 2, but like that was cruise control for Haney. Superb stuff. I do think Kambosos should stay clear of that rematch. Obviously, look, he's a fighter, he's going to want to do that. I get that, and you know, he's going to want to try to get something back, because he built that fight up, he sold it well, to be fair to him. It didn't look like it was anywhere near to being sold out, but even that's fine, because like I was thinking to myself, wow, Kambosos came out of nowhere. Not nowhere, but you know, obviously the Lopez fight really put him on the stage. He was doing work behind the scenes before that, but then to have a big breakout fight and get the belts and then suddenly sell out a stadium, I was like, how in the world is he going to do that? And you know, he got a decent attendance, I guess, but not to the 40,000-50,000 that was anticipated. It didn't look like, but no shame in that. He's still coming. He hasn't even been living in Australia, so like, or you know, not full time. So how are you expected to build up a fan base when you're not fighting there? So it's still a great achievement, but does he really want to go through that again and you know, really get beat like that, soundly beaten like that again? I mean, that would be a big backward step in his career. He could obviously bounce back. He's got that sort of tenacious energy, but that's Haney's style is all wrong for Kambosos, and Haney's only going to get better. He's now got the belts. He's now beaten a champion. He's now the undisputed. And when you're dealing with fights like that, when you have the IQ, it's only going to get better for Haney in terms of how he approaches the fight next. It usually works like that. And you know, Kambosos's style was a bit limited last night, you know, or he was very limited. And like I said, didn't show any creativity or tenacity like I thought he was going to. But nonetheless, boxing wins again. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Did you enjoy the fight? Are you looking forward to any other lightweight matchups? If so, which ones? That is it from me today. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Have a great week boxing on the edge. I will see you next week.